Welcome to May's edition of 4 and 4. I'm Kathy Halgren, Director of South St. Paul Public Library, and this month's 4 titles cover Croatians, Crazy Number 15, An Ancient Sculpture, and Time Travel. My first book is Joseph Wambaugh's Harbor Nocturne. Now I must say, if you're concerned about political correctness, forget about this book. PC it ain't. But Wambaugh has a way with dialogue so that you can actually hear his characters speaking to you. The book takes place in San Pedro, California, which is the port area of Los Angeles, and one of the main characters is Dinko Babic of Croatian descent. His father worked as a longshoreman, and you get a little history of the area focusing on the previous wave of immigrants versus the current immigrants. There's even a Croatian hall, just like in South St. Paul. Anyway, Dinko finds himself in the midst of a human trafficking fiasco when he runs into an old friend, Hector Kotsko, and his newest Mexican recruit, the lovely Lita. You see, Hector is basically a gopher for Russian, actually Serbian, and Korean organized crime. We're also introduced to Sergeant Hawthorne and his assignment to infiltrate this Russian-Serbian ring, with the use of a cop who's had a leg amputated. If that doesn't pique your interest, I don't know what will. No worries if you haven't read any other books in Wambaugh's Hollywood Cops series. It's good for a laugh, and you actually learn a bit about California, cops, and all the different lives messed up through crime. And for me, there's actually a genuine love story. You are loved. If you're in the mood for a wacky Southern tale and you haven't discovered Joshilyn Jackson yet, it's high time you do. In A Grown-Up Kind of Pretty, 15 is a magical number to the Slocum women. At 15, Ginny Slocum gave birth to Liza, who gave birth to Mosey at 15. Or did she? Ginny, known as Big, is now 45 and worried about Mosey, who is on the verge of turning 15, but seems very different from her mother and grandmother. Liza suffered a stroke earlier in the year, and when Big decides to remove an old willow tree to make room for a pool for Liza's therapy, a silver box containing bones and the clothing of a baby is discovered under the tree's roots. So begins the mystery and the unraveling of secrets. And if Big thought she had it rough raising Liza, it's nothing compared to her fight to keep Mosey from being taken away from her. If the plot twists don't keep you reading, waiting for the next Baptist joke will. This is a large print copy, so if you can't get the regular print for a while, don't forget to place a hold on this copy. Last month I reviewed a book about a nun falling in love with a German soldier during World War II. This month I have a German man falling in love with an Italian woman in Andromeda Romano-Lax's The Detour. The Nazis had a certain artistic aesthetic, and Ernst, much to his chagrin, is cataloger and listmaker of the world's greatest art, according to Hitler's standards. But Ernst's ennui is over when he's given an assignment to appropriate the ancient discus thrower sculpture. This sculpture idealizes the male form, something Ernst is particularly sensitive about. Well, as you might imagine, as soon as Ernst reaches Rome, everything begins to go wrong. But as he's transporting the sculpture through Italy with Cosimo and Enzo, Italian twins, he really starts living. Naturally, there's a dose or two of amore, but this is not a fanciful love story. One of the opening quotes of the book is Hitler's, "The day of individual happiness has passed." If Ernst had not made a detour into the Italian countryside with the twins, that might have applied to his life too. My final book is The Revisionists by Thomas Mullen, and as you can see, I'm not quite through with it. Zed lives in the future, perfect present, and his job is to protect it. The motto of his department is, "The integrity of history must be preserved." We could debate that concept all day, but luckily there are others called hags who believe history should not run its course, and they do their best to alter events to prevent tragedies. Zed's argument is that if he didn't ensure events to occur as they did in the past, the great conflagration would never end, and his perfect world, free from war, death, and human frailty, would not exist. The real question is this perfect world of his truly a better world than our current one? The portion of the story in the present is set in Washington, D.C., and I found myself really caring about these characters and their concerns and eventual demises. As you may have guessed, Zed is what I would call an enhanced human who can access all sorts of information internally. This author has performed quite a feat in delineating all too human people versus the robotic humanoid of the future. And I find myself wanting to know what will happen to Tasha, Leo, Zari, and even Zed, who begins to doubt his role in his perfect world. That's all for this edition of 4 and 4. See you in June with 4 more titles in 4 minutes.